Welcome to the September edition of Pop YS Live. This session is about managing tween and teen behaviors, and we're going to get started. So here we go. For those of you that are new to library land and librarianship, I would love to extend a warm welcome to you. My name is Janae Jackson Doring. I'm the Youth Services Consultant with the State Library of Iowa. Down below is my contact info. You can reach me by phone or email. I would love to come visit your library. A lot of people that I've met, I visited their library. When they meet me, they know and other people know that I bring a lot of goodie bag of books with me. So please reach out with any youth questions or concerns, or if you just like a visit. Um, the pictures to your right, since we're talking about teens and tweens today, the pictures to your right are pictures of me as a teenager. The picture like far to the right is of me in my Letterman jacket because I wanted to be cool and have a Letterman jacket like the football players. So that was my Letterman jacket from Davenport Central. Go Blue Devils. And the picture in the middle is of me. They had at Davenport Central, they had a dance called Morp. It's prom spelled backwards. And I won Morp Queen. So there was me, Brad was king, Edgar was prince, and Krista was princess. So I remember all those fun instances of being a teen, and I just thought it'd be fun to share those pictures with you. And Victoria says I'm serving looks. Thank you. Thank you. So what are we going to cover today? This is our agenda. We're going to talk about the ages and stages that makes tweens and teens tick. We're going to talk about the key aspects of tween and teen brain development. We'll talk about what we can do as librarians to support teens and tweens in this era of development. I'll also share how to approach disruptive tweens and teens and tips on redirecting their behavior and address using the police as a last resort. So we're going to share first about the ages and stages that makes tweens and teens tick. So, the ages and stages that I will be covering today, they come from the Child and Youth Development Ages and Stages handout. This is part of YALSA's Training the Trainer um, component, but I wanted to share these pages with you. There's about 5 pages. The handout is about 5 pages, and it covers all of the stages of youth development from the tween stage, which they consider 8 through 10, all the way, or 8 through 12, excuse me, all the way through teens, ages 13 through 18. The cool thing about this document, it also talks about what educators can do to support their growth and development. And yes, a PDF copy of this document will be included in the handouts that I will provide today in Workday Learning. So I just wanted to address that right from the bat. So, tweens. For this purpose, we're going to talk ages 8 to 12. With tweens, they are in transition. So with their physical changes, they're growing. They are dealing with puberty. They're becoming aware of what others think of them, how they look. They're very self-conscious, and they're very self-conscious of things that are different to them. In this time of a tween, physical appearance is important. They care about how they look. With their social emotional skills, tweens are expressing a lot of things. They can express feelings with words, but if they're very upset, they might need a gentle reminder to express how they're feeling with words. This group is starting to develop close friendships among their peers. They're understanding that their peers have feelings too. So they're understanding, oh man, my friend Johnny, oh wow, he really does care. He has feelings. So they're understanding that their friends or peers have feelings too. This group of individuals, when they are learning about working together as a group, They need to see other kids or other adults model how to do that. So they need to see how to work with others and have that cooperative work. They notice their status in a group. They are concerned with popularity, how popular they are, and how other people see them. This group, it thrives on self-confidence. They love to learn new skills and they are craving hands-on experiences. They love those hands-on experiences because they're learning through play, they're learning by building, making, creating. They want to know the reasons for rules and why they're asked to follow them. And as a tween, a lot of tweens have this ability, or they're starting to have that ability, to make visits to the library on their own or with a caregiver. And I want to go back to the point about craving hands-on experiences. Our public libraries provide those hands-on experiences through programming, through whether it's a slime program or a drawing program. Our public library spaces are places where they can grow and learn and have those experiences to help them grow. With this age group, as far as their cognitive skills, they like to have designated roles where they can practice what they know. Their thinking has become complex. They can classify things by type or by category, and they're very curious as to why and how things work. With their language skills, tweens love discussing and debating issues. They are expanding their vocabulary. They're building their vocabulary. They love sharing their opinions. So if you're having a tween program and they're telling you what they like and don't like, listen. They love to share their opinions because you, as a librarian and youth librarian, teen librarian, or director, you are an adult and you're listening to them. So they love to share those opinions of what they like at the library or what things they would love to see at the library. And this group uses sarcasm. Yet they may not understand when or how someone is being sarcastic. I thought that was a very interesting point that Yalsa had pointed out. With teens, there's a lot of things going on. In terms of their physical development, they are concerned about body image and they are swayed by images in social media and ads. Most of the teens, they have reached puberty, their voices are changing, body changes, all of those things are happening in the physical parts of teenagers. With their language skills, they love to debate. They love to debate, and they are especially concerned with issues of rights and privileges. They're realizing that sometimes the way they talk at home or with their friends is not necessarily appropriate in every setting. They express a high interest in self-expression. So you know those teens that come in that love drawing or poetry or music. This is the time that they are showing high interest in those skills. With their social emotional skills, they are learning more about themselves. They're questioning how they fit in the world. Who am I? What is my identity? They are focused on themselves. Let's face it, they are self-absorbed. They are just focused on themselves. They're growing their friends, their friendships. They're growing their social networks. As a teenager, their social standing is important. They want to be popular. They want that social status. They do care about the well-being of others and they're developing their own community and they're seeking more independence. So that means distancing themselves from their parents because they want to be cool. And to them, self-confidence is important. With their cognitive skills, these guys seek new challenges. They are seeking experiences. They are thinking about the meaning of life, which I was like, wow, that's amazing that they're thinking about the meaning of life. They're setting and attaining goals, and that's important to them. They are trying to understand the consequences of their actions. Excuse me. And this group, as we know, they are very, very curious. They are experimenting. This is the time where they're getting into those risky behaviors, might be drugs, alcohol, tobacco, other risky behaviors that we want to steer them from. So we know this is happening with tweens. We know what's happening with teens and what makes them tick. We're going to talk now a little bit about key aspects of the tween teen brain development, or simply put, why do they act like this? Here we go. Wanted to share some information first and from the National Institute of Mental Health, because it's important that to have that information and background for you. But before I do that, I do want to share that children's brains, they have a massive growth spurt. So as a tween, when they're very young, they get this growth spurt. So by the time they're 6, their brains are already about 90 to 95% of adult size. Um, the early years are a crucial time for brain development. And the brain still needs a lot of remodeling before it can function as an adult brain. So this is where the National Institute of Mental Health comes in. I'm going to share this information about elements about teen brain development. Um, Teens need sleep. A lot of them do not get a lot of good sleep. During adolescence, the brain is still forming. Um, you have melatonin. Melatonin is the sleep hormone, and it's naturally produced in your brain by the pineal gland in the brain. And it plays a crucial role in regulating that sleep wake cycle, so the circadian rhythm. It's higher in the night, so that's why you see teens staying up late at night, but then it drops in the morning. So you may see teens coming, you might see them going to school sleepy. Um, so with this knowledge and knowing that teens need more sleep and they're not getting that sleep, as a result of them coming to school sleepy or the library sleepy, they have a harder time making good choices and good decisions. They have a hard time paying attention or having impulse control. But the wonderful thing about their brains is that their brains have plasticity and the brain is ready to learn. So that plasticity in their brain, it makes it adaptable to changes and learning. The other thing to know is that mental illnesses start to appear during adolescence. Um, so their brains can respond to stress differently than adults. Uh, and the brain, did you know this? The brain isn't fully developed until age 25. It's amazing. To your right, the National Institute of Mental Health has this handout. It's called the Teen Brain 7 Things to Know. I am putting this in my handouts because I think it's highly important for us as librarians to be aware of what is happening in the teen brain and some of the changes that are happening so that way we can respond to teens appropriately in regards to their behaviors. So now we're going to dig inside in the teenage brain. I have 2 images of the brain, and I'll explain why. Uh, but before I explain why, there's a lot happening with the teen brain, but I want you to focus on 2 parts of the brain. The prefrontal lobe cortex, or the frontal lobe, and the amygdala. Gosh, amygdala, excuse me, amygdala. You think I'd be able to pronounce it? I apologize. So we said brain development has a huge impact on behavior. The prefrontal lobe or prefrontal cortex is the frontal lobe. That is the front part of the brain. This part of the brain develops late, and it's the last part to develop. And this part of the brain is important because that part of the brain is responsible for making good decisions, planning. So it controls those functions. So when that part of the brain, the frontal lobe, since there's nothing there, that lack of those of that part of the brain, it leads to teens going into risky behaviors. And instead of going to the frontal lobe to rely on that good decisions and planning, it uses the amygdala. The amygdala is that tiny, tiny little part of your brain. It looks like it's to the right of your screen, but it's that tiny little light green part of your brain. It kind of looks like a lima bean a little bit. The amygdala develops early. So you've got the frontal lobe that's developing late, but the amygdala is developed early. And the amygdala, since the frontal lobe is not developed yet, it says, I'm going to take over. I'm going to go ahead and just use this to make sure you are reacting. So the amygdala controls your immediate reactions. So fear, aggression, um, impulses, emotions. So the amygdala just takes over that part for the frontal lobe. And with all these, so that's why you see teens have a lack of foresight. They're repeating mistakes um, because they are just trying to develop. Their brain is just constantly developing, and that amygdala takes over the emotions. So that's where you see the rage. That's why you see them might be acting melodramatic because that frontal lobe is not developed yet. The amygdala takes over and just goes. It's kind of like teens are like driving a car, but there's nobody at the steering wheel because the amygdala is just taking off. Um, so this is why when you go to redirect a teen's behavior, you might have to repeat that behavior several times because their brain is trying to process. Their brain is still cooking. I hope that makes sense. Does that make sense for everybody? Okay, I hope so. So this slide here, this to your left, this is an image from the Denver Post. Uh, the Denver Post created a graphic of the development of the brain. So the red and yellow parts of this image, those are parts of the brain that's less fully mature, or that hasn't developed yet. The blue and purple areas are the parts of the brain that have fully matured. So the 5-year-old brain, you see a lot of red, you see a lot of green, a lot of yellow. So it's still maturing. I love how they have this image from age 5 all the way up to age 20. The preteen brain, you see the preteen brain, it's still developing. The little squares on your screen represents the, prefrontal cortex. So remember, prefrontal cortex, it's that part that's responsible for impulse control and decision making. So it's in the small squares on your screen. So we see that the preteen brain is still maturing, it's still growing, it's still learning. That teen brain, the third image there, you see some blue starting to form. So there's parts of the brain that are more fully matured. There's some green still and yellow in that prefrontal cortex. So it's still relying on the amygdala to make those decisions. And 20-year-old brain, you see a lot of blue, a lot of greens, more blues, more purples, excuse me. So it's starting to fully develop. So by age 25, the brain is fully developed. And I just wanted to add these extra facts too. According to a 2013 Gizmodo article, teens are at increased risk of mortality compared to children. The rate of death by injury between ages 15 to 19 are about 6 times that of the age when they're ages 10 to 14. Simply put, their brains are literally wired to reward them for risks and dares. You see a lot of teens dare each other and take risks because they want experiences. They are sensation seeking. They want those new experiences, those challenges, those risks. And we want, as librarians and educators, we want to be able to provide healthy challenges for them in a healthy way and redirect them to positive decisions and challenges. But with all of this info, this is why we see a lot of disruptive library behaviors. This is why teens are making those dares and challenges and risks um, because their amygdala is taking over instead of their prefrontal cortex. Their brains are literally still developing. And these are just some disruptive library behaviors that I've encountered as a youth librarian, arguing with staff, swearing. I see a lot of swearing, fighting. There was a couple times where I saw teens fight, and you have to handle it. Sleeping in the library, loud talking. My least favorite out of this is making out in the library. My first library job as a youth librarian, I encountered two teens just making out in the magazine section of the library. And I walked over to them and I said, "Hi, you know, I don't mind if you guys talk. I don't mind if you guys hang out or just chill, but we don't condone making out in the library. Um, could you please refrain from making out in the space?" And they were very calm and very cool about it. But that's my least favorite disruptive library behavior. But what other disruptive library behaviors are you seeing? Let me see. Answer in the chat if you can. I see, oh, harassing younger kids. Yes, definitely not cool. Graffiti in the teen section, throwing ice cream. Oh my goodness. Rolling chairs all over. Yes. The pick me girls who do anything to get attention, especially from those they find attractive. Yes. Stealing paint markers, cutting hair in the bathroom. My goodness. Saying terrible things to each other, annoying patrons for fun, taking items from the community fridge and then destroying the bathroom with food. Oh, my goodness. Grinding food into the carpet, yelling at each other, bathroom destruction, running in and out of the building, vaping in the bathroom, treating the elevator like a game. Yes. Vandalizing the bathrooms, screaming cusses till I go over for the fifth time. Yes. Saying rude things to patrons, couples locking themselves inside. Yes. So these are all different kinds of things. These are all different kinds of library behaviors. Um, so we are going to go to what can we do? We see all this stuff. We see all these things happening. We know why they're doing it, but what can we do as librarians? Best practice, get to know your teens. What does that mean? Greet them when they walk in the door. Smile, say hi, learn their names. Learning their names is key. Um, Not only are you establishing a rapport with them and you're building a relationship, but then you know who it is that is causing the issues, that are causing the problems. So really get to learn their names, whether it's them hanging out in the teen area or during one of your programs. Just learn their names, talk to them, get to know them, get to know what makes them tick. Who are they hanging out with? What do they listen to? What do they like? So, really building that relationship and build rapport with them. I really think it's important to accept teens for who they are and not to judge them. We don't know the life story of every teen or tween that walks through our doors. Some of them may have a great home life. Some of them may not have a home to go home to. Some of them are hungry. Some of them are living with family members or taking care of their siblings or becoming, becoming who they are. We don't know what their backstory is. So accept them for who they are. Do not judge them. And treat teens and tweens how you want to be treated. They are young adults. We shouldn't talk to them like little kids because if you're gonna treat them like a little kid, they're gonna treat you the same way back. So treat them how you want to be treated. I'm reading the chat, and Christy says, "Do you recommend treating each day as a new day, towards them at least, despite their behaviors from the day before?" And the answer is yes. Every day is a new day. Teens and tweens, they need that to be said to them. If you have to, and I hope you don't, if you have to ask them to leave the building, please say to them, I'm real sorry, but you'll have to leave for the day. But I hope you come back tomorrow, and tomorrow you can try again. They need to hear those things because it gives them a sense of, wow, I can come back to the library. I can come back again. When we kick teens out and kick them out permanently, what message are we sending them? That the library isn't for them? Because the library needs to be for them. It is for them. Our services, our programs are for them just like an adult, just like a preschool or a toddler. Our services and programs are for them too. And be a role model to your teen. Be a role model to them. And what do I mean? Be a positive presence. Be a person that they can rely on when they have problems, when they have issues. I had one teenager who father was dealing in drugs, mother was kind of in and out of her life, and the father was coming back into her life, and she was going through a lot. She was failing classes, but she would come to the teen programs. She would swear, and I would have to redirect that behavior to say, hey, we don't allow swearing in the building. But I developed that rapport with her, and she sat one time after programs were done. I was in the youth area, and this girl told me things that she would not tell her family, things that you wouldn't expect to come out of a 15-year-old. And she's telling me and talking to me, and her grandmother would pick her up a lot from the programs. And I said, "Is your grandmother here?" And she said, "Yeah, but I just wanted to talk to you." And I said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, you need to get out to your grandmother and tell her I'm sorry. Do you know how much gas is? Get out there and go to your grandmother." Um, but I appreciated that I was able to establish that rapport with her because she knew that she could talk to me without judgment, without fear, without someone talking down to them. And she ended up turning her life around. She got good grades, she graduated, and now she's studying to be a nurse. But just building that rapport, just having someone listen and be a model to that teen, because you never know where their life could go. So I'm gonna pause for a minute. We're gonna take a pause real quick. And I know I've been talking a lot about teens, but look at this picture. You got a picture of a child walking. Here's this child walking into the library. What do you think of when you look at this picture? And you can go ahead and answer in the chat. Curiosity, yes. What else? Positive association with books. Loves books, yes. Little tiny hands, yes. Yes, absolutely. This child is adorable, cute, eager, exploring, smiles for the world, yes. Starting small, yes, Sherry, absolutely. So this is an adorable picture of a tyke that is walking into the library and reaching for those books. And they're learning, yes, Nicole says they're learning to love the library. Yes. So, what comes to mind when you look at this picture? If these teens are walking into your library, what comes into mind? Chat. What else? What else do you notice? That's a good pose. Yes. Figuring themselves out. Cool, safe space. Social behavior. Yes. They believe my library is the best backdrop. Yes. Might be a little bit of an attitude, maybe with the girl in the middle. Comfortable. Yes. Get off the table. Oh, yeah. Oh, risky. Uh-huh. Positive environment. Yes. It's very interesting to see the comments for this. Um, if you have a negative connotation when you go from looking at this picture to this picture, we want to make sure we check our biases. We want to check those biases. Because again, we don't know the backstory of everybody. We don't know the backstory of these teens or the little child that walks into our library. So we want to make sure we check those personal biases that we have. Because yes, because like Sherry says, they want to be like everybody else. Teens want to be like everybody else. They just are our normal teen coming into the library and using our facility and programs and services. So definitely make sure you look at your biases. So we've talked about that, but what else can librarians do? Another best practice, create welcoming spaces for teens to thrive. So have spaces in your library, in your building, where they can just be, where they can just have a place to chat and play with activities and do. There's a picture of Jefferson Public Library. They have a teen utopia. So it's this space they have, excuse me, they noticed that a lot of their teens like Dungeons and Dragons. So they put out different books and activities that are catered to teens that like Dungeons and Dragons. But they have a space that is just for them where they have teen books, they have magazines, a space to play if they have a game, they have a game component of some sort, some type of gaming system. You can't see it in that picture, but they do have a TV there for gaming activities. But it's a space for them to be. The picture to your right is of Johnston Public Library. They have a section just separate from the library for teens where they can be loud. This pictures of them making craft activities. So with your spaces, look at your teen space. As teens, going to school, they have all these different spaces, spaces of learning, spaces to make, spaces to do things. With your teen space, I would like for you to think about, what do you want this space to be? What is it that teens can do in the space that can help them thrive? What kinds of activities that you could provide that are hands-on, low cost, that teens could do to help them wire their brains and just have fun and play? Because let's face it, they've been in a classroom for what, 8 to 3 almost, and they need to release steam like everybody else. So think about your spaces. What could you do? What could you offer that could be hands-on and calming and welcoming for a teen to thrive and just be? One library said that they offer a loud hour for teens as a program. So from, I can't remember, I think it was like 3 to 5 or whatnot, they had a meeting room space where they could just be loud and just have activities there for them to do. So think about, what could you do in your space? What could you do in your programs for teens to have that moment to just be a teen and thrive? Another best practice, and this one I really hope and encourage you guys to do this, is to talk with your director and library staff. Um, as a group, talk with each other, brainstorm ideas for appropriate solutions for handling disruptive teen behaviors together. Think about how your library in general handles tween and teen behaviors. Um, and make sure every staff member knows and understands what to do so everyone is on the same page. Why? And I'm going to say this for the people in the back, because managing teen and tween behaviors should not be the responsibility of just the youth librarian and the teen librarian. And let's face it, you as the youth librarian, the teen librarian, or the director, you're not going to be around 24/7. You're not. There are moments when your staff are going to be manning the desk, the youth desk, the circulation desk, and they need to know what the procedures are in case there is an incident with a teen or a group of tweens. When I was the youth services librarian, a lot of the staff would tell me about the teen who was causing the behavior issues or the tween that was having the problems, which is great. And that's fine. But I wasn't going to be around on the weekends or I'm on vacation. And you have other staff members that don't know what to do or how to handle those behaviors. So as a group with your director and your library staff, talk with each other. Talk about what procedures need to be in place so everyone is on the same page. Everyone knows how to handle teen and tween behaviors and redirect them, not just that one person. So now we're going to talk about how to approach disruptive tweens and teens and how to redirect their behavior. So some best practices. Um, let's say you have someone upstairs, they're causing a scene. What do? You walk to them, you use a gentle voice. I would like for you to speak slowly and confidently. When you go to correct somebody's behavior, try not to be flustered, try not to be scared. Speak slowly, confidently, and speak to the person directly and away, if possible, away from their peers. If you're talking with their peers, it just seems like they just kind of start to attack. So speak to the person directly that's causing the behavior and away from their peers. Use use hey, I noticed statements and give other positive choices to the individual. So for example, if I see a teen throwing Doritos at another teen at a table, and I notice this, I'll walk over and I'll say, "Hey, I noticed you were throwing Doritos at Johnny at the table. Um, we would like to keep our library clean, so could you please pick up those Doritos?" So just using a "Hey, I noticed" statement and giving a positive choice to the individual to tell them, "Hey, this is the behavior I'm seeing. This is it. It needs to stop. We want to keep our library clean. That's the why." Explain why the behavior is inappropriate. Be specific, polite, and firmly directive about the behavior that you will accept. If you need to, issue a warning. Issue one warning. And if they choose, you could say, if you choose this, this is what's going to happen. So issue a warning if you need to. And if you have to ask that person to leave, document the behavior. And I'll get into that in a little bit. Um, Also, with your expectations in your library or in your programs, communicate your expectations clearly and consistently. Let teens know the behavior guidelines and consequences. In life, there are consequences. And it's a hard thing to learn. But our teens need to realize that we have expectations, we have a behavior policy, and they need to learn that guidelines are in place for a reason and consequences happen if those things aren't met. Again, be consistent. If you tell Johnny, hey, one thing, and then a staff member does something completely the next, there's no consistency. That teen is going to use that amygdala and say, well, I'm going to do whatever I want because, Sandy said I could do this, but Megan said I can do that. Ha ha ha. Just joking. I don't mean to point anybody out. But just make sure everybody's consistent. What your expectations are, they need to be consistent. Again, be firm but fair. The expectations should be consistent, requiring staff to be on the same page. Same page regarding what behaviors are acceptable and procedures for enforcement. So making sure everyone is on the same page with procedures. So maybe, hey, if someone is having disruptive behaviors, maybe they get one warning. And if they do it the second time, okay, they leave for the day. Whatever that looks like in your building, it has to be consistent and it has to have everyone on the same page so they know the expectations and it can explain them to the teens. Uh, and refer to your behavior policy. Your library should have a behavior policy in place that explains what those behaviors are for adults and teens. Other do's and don'ts. Um, Praise them. Do praise them. Praise good behaviors that they're demonstrating. If you see James eating those Doritos and actually, when he's done, throwing them in the wastebasket, say, hey, James, I noticed that you threw the bag in the garbage can. Thank you. Thank you for keeping our library clean. Or, hey, Jane, I'm so glad you stopped. I'm so glad I noticed that you were using the markers and putting them away instead of drawing graffiti on our wall. Thank you. So praise good behaviors that they're demonstrating when you see them. They need to hear that. And when they are having issues, when you're trying to redirect their behavior, listen to them because you are validating their emotions. You are showing that you are understanding where they're coming from and you are listening and trying to understand them. Do be patient. I know that is hard to say. I know that it is easier said than done, but be patient. Take deep breaths before you go and try to solve a problem. Take a deep breath. Slow your breathing. When you do that, you can remain calm in the situation. For that teen or tween, repeat the expectation or rules. Again, we want to give them a chance to learn. So you will have to repeat the expectation or repeat the rules. And give tweens and teens a chance to correct their behavior. In my old library, there's a teen loft, and there are teens that hang out there. And when I would go upstairs to talk to them, um, to say, hey, I noticed that you guys are talking loud. Could you please talk quieter because we have people downstairs working on the computers? You would hear them trying to correct their behavior because I would hear shh. So they were trying. So give tweens, teens a chance to correct their behavior. Don't argue, don't yell, because when you're yelling, you're here. You're at this level, and they're gonna reach your level just yelling back and forth. It's not gonna work when you're yelling and they're yelling back at you. So again, having that calm demeanor, having a gentle voice, it brings their register down. Don't approach them when you're flustered. Don't touch or threaten the person. Don't take the person's behavior or remarks personally. I know it's hard, but don't take that person's behavior or remarks personally. It is nothing against you. Again, they're learning about rules. They're learning about how rules work. They're questioning rules. Their brain is still developing, so they're learning how things work. And don't hold grudges. Um, every day is a new day. Like Christy Allison said, every day, we want that every day to be a new day. And if you have to ask them to leave, tell them, hey, I'm sorry, but I'm asking you to leave for the day. You can try again tomorrow. So I wanted to share Steve Albrecht. Steve Albrecht is a library security consultant. In 2015, he published a book called Library Security, Better Communication, Safer Facilities. And then he published another book in 2023. This recent book is called The Safe Library, Keeping Users, Staff, and Collections Secure. But he has a blog called Ask Steve, and this is directly from his blog. Uh, but it says, you notice a group of 4 to 10 youth, tweener teens, taking over an area in the library, being loud and disruptive, play fighting, yelling, and laughing loudly. What is the best way of dealing with this? What do you think? You can answer in the chat. What do you think would be the best way to handle this? Let's see. Oops. What do you think would be the best way to handle that? Walking up to greet them and asking them what brings them into the library today. Sabrina says, "I'm so glad you guys are having fun, but it's a little loud for the library. Please be quieter." I usually ask them what they're interested in. Go over and chat with them. Yes, absolutely. Make small talk. Engage, walk over, talk, ask questions. How do they know each other? What brings them to the library? Yes, absolutely. These are all great, great, great responses. Amanda, are you seeing my slides? I might have a little bit of a technical difficulty.
Um, we can see them. We're still on Dr. Steve Albright's.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I had pushed the wrong button. I just wanted to make sure.
You're
Thank
good.
you. So yes, you guys did a wonderful job answering that. So yes. So with this scenario, Dr. Steve Albright says, watch the group. Try to see who the leader is. See if you can pull that person, him or her, see if you can pull them aside and offer some choices. So the example he's saying is, when you are all in the library, we don't mind if you do A, B, C, but you can't do X, Y, Z here. So example, so with this group, I would say I would pull Jane on to the side and say, hey, you guys are in the library. We don't mind it if you are talking or reading or just looking at things on YouTube on your phone. Um, but you can't be yelling and swearing and being loud in the library. Could you just please keep it down? Um, that is very helpful for us. So that is a way of handling that situation. So, with the time that I have left, I want to talk about, when do I call the police? Janae, wait a minute, but this is all fine and dandy, but when do I call the police? And you're right, there are instances when you're going to have to call the police. Um, I mean, there could be a multitude of different instances. I mean, when they're fighting or if somebody is injured. Um, but the best practice in this situation would be to talk with your library director and your staff together to create some procedures in place for staff that spell out directly when to call the police. One time, I will never forget this. I was working at my previous library. Um, Sandy, I don't know if you remember this too, but there was a ninth grade academy across the street from our library. And the teens got out of school. They just normal typical day. But on our library lawn at that time, there were teens that started fighting. They were fighting, and then I'll never forget this. There were a whole swarm of teens that came running from the ninth grade academy across the street over to the library grounds because they wanted to see these teens fight. These teens were running in the street, we're in the parking lot, in the library parking lot. There were teens that were jumping on top of cars, were running on top of, they literally climbed on top of cars to catch this fight. And it was just a whole swarm of them. And my supervisor at the time didn't, she saw all these patrons because we had some elderly patrons in the building. And it was just a large group of teens. I want to say maybe 70, 80 at least, but there was a lot. She had locked the door and told me to call the police. It looked like a riot almost. And fortunately, we did call the police. And fortunately, the school staff came running by with their administrators and staff, and they broke up the fight. Um, but you never know when those instances are going to happen. So it's important to talk with your director and your staff together and spell out those procedures of when to call the police and document the behavior. Um, some of you are doing this already, but for those of you that are new, it's helpful to have an incident report or some type of incident report form to document all of the behaviors you're seeing, especially if you have a teen or tween that is exhibiting the same types of behaviors. It's important to document all incidents so that way your director is aware, you're aware. If you have to talk to a parent or caregiver, you can document and pull out that document to see, to share with them what is going on. So some examples of incident report forms. This is from Sheldon, or excuse me, Sheldon Public Library. Uh, they have an incident report code of conduct form that has the staff person filling out the form, the date it occurred, the time, witnesses, name of the person involved, describe the incident, um, any staff response, and any additional comments, and having a director's signature. This is the Warren Public Library in Michigan. This is an example of their incident report form. It's a patron incident report form, uh, but it has a date and time of incident, describe the incident, were emergency services called, yes or no. It also has a what follow-up by administration is recommended and what actions should the library take to prevent a recurrence of a similar incident. This is an example of a Stillwell Public Library's incident report form. This is an accident incident report form. Um, but again, it has witnesses, name of witnesses, staff present, documenting what happened. So that way you can have this in place. So that way if you're seeing a pattern, you need to document it and have this for your director and for yourself in case you need to talk to a caregiver about uh, their child's behavior. Just parting reminders, please know that teen and tweens are the ones that need the library the most. We don't know the home lives of these teens. They are going through a lot, and our spaces and programs need to support their development and their well-being. So welcome them with your spaces, your programs, and build that rapport. Keep your staff in the know of procedures and how to redirect tween and teen behaviors. Um, just remember, teen and tweens are learning. They're still growing. So be calm, repeat, and redirect. Again, they're still learning. And praise them when they demonstrate positive behaviors. They need that praise too. And make make sure your teens and tweens feel safe and supported. And quickly, just some upcoming events to get on your radar for the next Pop YS Live. Excuse me a second. I'm going to click on this real quick. Oop. Can you guys see my slide still? Yes, no, maybe? Okay, we're good. Okay. So yes, register on Workday Learning for these events. October 8th. Don't throw paper balls at me yet. We're going to talk about Summer Reading 2026. I know. October Pop YS Live is the I Read Summer Reading Preview with I Read, the staff. They'll be here to share webinar information with you. Tuesday, October 28th is Check It Out from 11 a.m. to noon. And November, this is not on Workday Learning yet, but just to give you a heads up, November's Pop YS Live, we will be talking about managing caregivers during story times. Because let's face it, there's nothing more annoying than a caregiver in the background texting on their phone or trying to talk while you're guiding a whole bunch of tiny toddlers and preschoolers. So we're going to talk about how to manage those caregivers and giving them some redirection as well. So that's going to be Wednesday, November 12th from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock p.m. And that, my friends, woo, with 3 minutes to spare. Oops, that is all I have left. So, yes, that was awesome. So, super cool. I hope this was helpful for people. Again, if you need anything, please reach out to me. I'm more than happy to chat with you or come visit your space. Um, Valerie says, is there any way in the future to have the Wednesday classes earlier? That's a great question. At this time, I can't really answer that because we've got a lot of moving pieces going on. But these are recorded. All of our events are recorded. So rest assured, if you miss it, you can catch it on Workday Learning or on our YouTube channel as well. So we can't change anything just yet because we got some moving pieces going on here. Um, so yes, thank you. I see a lot of thank yous, but yes, thank you so much and reach out.
Again, Janae, thank you for today. Great information. I know everyone enjoyed this, and I'm sure lots of pencils were busy writing. Again, we will get you all checked off in Workday for your attendance and make sure to fill out those evals for us. And other than that, everyone have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you guys.